And so it is. Before we actually begin the workshop, let's see if there's something that should be mentioned. Oh, Argus is not here yet or today. And now about the binders, it is something that you definitely should plan on having and keeping it up to date, because right now we are referring back to it often without giving you new pass-outs. And there are only, what about 2 that have been asked for? So we'll have some.
1 now.
We'll only have, we'll have some more made up for next week to be available anyway. Sunday, let's just see if there's something very important here, going over my notes. Because of time, I won't review any of these. All right, we're okay. Welcome, Holy Spirit, in this place. Welcome, Holy Spirit, in this place. Welcome, Holy Spirit, in this place in my mind. Welcome, Holy Spirit, in my mind. Welcome, Holy Spirit, in my mind. Once more, welcome, Holy Spirit, in my mind. Give me peace, Lord. Give me peace, Lord. Give me peace, Lord. Give me peace, Lord. Lord, heal my mind. Lord, heal my mind. Lord, heal my mind. Lord, heal my mind. And so it is. Well, we're getting right into it because you came so late, and I don't know why. But you know, you remember me talking last week about mental atmospheres?
Yes.
And what did I say that I was going to do? You want to check your notes? I said that I was going to look for my book, the original, what? Science of Mind textbook by Ernest Holmes. Now, this book was written in 1946. And later on, many years later, the book was revised that took the form of the current book that you have today. The reason that it was revised is because a lot of things were eliminated or not put into the revision.
Right.
And the reason for that is that it was believed to be one that the general public would not accept too quickly because of the nature of the conversation and the material and the way it was written. A lot of highly spiritual nature. So it was presented in a more contemporary manner, language, and you understand. I'm sharing with you some of that you won't find in your revised book in terms of mental atmospheres. Now, what I'm also going to do is go through several scriptures that will also complement this. Now, I want to ask you, what is my topic today? Mental atmospheres. I want you to meditate on it. Mental atmospheres. What really led me to recognize that I needed to talk about it teach it. It came to me when 3 weeks ago we started working on specifically guided meditations technique. And if you recall, we went through a guided meditation exercise. Do you recall when we got to the point where we were going up steps? But that was not an intention that I had in mind going into it. I just picked that up in going into it. Do you remember how many steps we took going up to, where were we going to? Where did we end up? The finishing room, which is the same as the upper room. There to rest and give ourselves over, our prayer over, our request over to the author and finisher of our faith. Okay. So we went up. Can you recall the steps and what those steps were named or called as we went up? Because they were just given to me as I went. It wasn't an intention. It wasn't a script that I was reading. Can you remember the first step, second step, or third step? Forgiveness was the first. And the second one was generosity. These things just came through me as we were climbing up those steps in the guided meditation. There was a visualization, because the topic was creative visualization. Teaching you how to create your own healing meditation with vividness, because we were dealing with visualization, through the office of imagination, which is Christ in you. Do you recall that? Well, what happened to me in that meditation was, and undoubtedly a message that I received, that I need to go back or go deeper and share something with you that you need to know before you get to that finishing room. It just came to me. Further, it was further supported by my need to cover this by a question that I had from one of you. And the question was, this is why I want you to fill out the card in the prayer chest, prayer request, and write out what you're working on, some of you, so that I can have specific issues in mind, specific concerns in mind when I'm teaching. I can cover those things. Several of you have asked questions after the workshop or just in passing, and I'm going to address those things. I don't claim, when you ask me a question, I don't claim to know the answer and I can give you blah, 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 blah. I don't stand there. But I'll meditate on it, I'll think on it, and Spirit will give me answer, direction, and will reveal it through the message. So I don't claim to be a psychic or a sage or a seer or I know the answer. I've never done that. But the answer to the question of, I have a problem. I have a habit or I have an experience of always sabotaging my success. I sabotage my prayer. Can anybody relate to that?
Yes.
And I said, that's powerful, but I didn't try to give an answer. But I knew, and I didn't know, I knew, but I had to wait for it to come through in a teaching manner, and today it will come through. Because too many of us, in our prayer goal, our prayer request, our demonstration, well, it goes back to every day and every way I am getting better and better, with the premises that when you pray, prayer has been answered. All prayer is answered prayer. And that what's the lyrics to the song? It's already done. It's already done. It's already done. Well, why isn't it manifested? Why isn't it demonstrated? Why isn't it shown? Why hasn't it shown up? Well, think of that word sabotage. Something is hindering, something is blocking, and generally in our lives it's recurring. So I'm going to cover a couple of things that I know that it is, can be. Very fundamental, very basic, so I have your scriptures for you to support that. Now, mental atmospheres, we're talking about consciousness. We're talking about your general overall thinking, your mental atmosphere. You live in your mental atmosphere. We're always radiating. We're always broadcasting. We're always exuding. We're something, We have an electric field outside, but also inside. Internal and external. Your mental atmosphere, you can clean up. Clean up. Imagine yourself cleaning it up, giving it a new color, giving it new energy, giving it a new flavor, just a new smell. You know, for instance, an example is this morning I called Jeannie because I wanted to know if I was going to pick her up this morning. And cell phones, good time to turn them on. Let me check mine. It was prearranged that Bill was going to stop by and pick her up. We were talking about that. But in the background, I heard somebody talking. It sounded like a female's voice. To which she said, and my daughter is coming with me. Now that's Jeannie over there, and to her right is her daughter. And I'm part of their family, and I've known her for, before time was. And she said, and she's coming with me. I said, oh, shucks, hung up the phone. See, this has everything to do with mental atmospheres. And that's where you got to look for a blockage in prayer. Sabotage. You see, what we want to do is that we want to fall into this magic thing. You need to read the Course in Miracles again when it talks about magic. Have you read it? Look it up. You see, a lot of us are using God in a magical way. And you don't know, and you think you're spiritual. You know people who are just praying for stuff and just waiting for it to happen, and you know it's not going to happen. Magicians can make things happen. Do you understand what I'm saying? And a lot of times when people come to practitioners, they want magic. And a lot of practitioners and a lot of people who pray for people are misleading. Especially if they get a card where they get $50 for it. Am I right?
Yeah. Yep.
And they want you to believe that if they pray for you, you can do something. I'm better than this person. I've seen that all my life, my religious life, in practitioners. You need to go to so-and-so. Why? Magic. Missing the blind, leading the blind, and then they shall be. You understand what I'm saying? And some people come here not knowing they are looking for magic. And want to learn how to use this stuff to make magic, create magic, demonstrate, heal, whatever you're thinking, and you don't know that you're learning to be a magician. When you're doing it spiritually, it ain't free. You got to pay a price. It costs you something. And what does it cost? What we're doing here. Consciousness. Building consciousness. But in building consciousness and then pray, and then you're waiting for direction and guidance in how to let this manifest through you to how to give birth to it. The book that's called the Bible is a book of lessons. It's a book of principles. It's a book of rules. It's a book of how to. It's an operations manual for a living. How to create, how to eliminate, reverse, how to heal, how to do anything that you want in life. And some people use it for magic. Now, what I mean by that is that something is required of you. You don't get something for nothing. This stuff ain't free. Those two of the things I want to talk about today. Now, the sum total and the bottom line of all of this, for the particular context today that I'm talking about, is how what I'm talking about today can change your mental atmosphere to help you demonstrate, help you manifest, help you heal. Mental atmospheres. Ernest Holmes talks about it in his Science of Mind text, but so many other writers do, but I'm just going to his. When Jeannie said, my daughter is coming, well, I was already fully dressed to come. And when she told me that her daughter was coming, I hung up the phone, oh, shucks. So I went and changed clothes. I was comfortable. I had on pants just like these. In fact, they're exactly, but they had been washed. You know, when they come out of the dryer, you can just brush them. You know, and they look good. I got used to y'all, so I could just wear them on in here. And I had on a different shirt. I was looking cleanly good. But when she told me that she was coming as a guest, I changed because of what I know to be her and their mental atmosphere. Are you hearing me?
Yes. Yes.
Are you hearing me?
Yes.
This is important. I said, no, so I went on and I put on my pressed. And my pressed shirt and my shoes to match so that I could represent the mental atmosphere that she reflects and emanates.
Oh, beautiful.
Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Likewise, your mental atmosphere dictates and controls how people respond to you.
Yes.
Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Your mental atmosphere affects everything about your life. And more importantly, as it specifically relates to prayer, let me tell you something. In that meditation, we're going up to the upper room. You're going up to the finishing room. He says, I am the author and the finisher of your faith. So we went there to release it, to let him finish it. But what kind of mental atmosphere are you going there in? It's going to determine how long it comes. He said, I go before you, that's the imagination, to prepare a place for you.
Yes.
And if I go, I'll come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there you may be also. And so I say, in the meantime, if it's not showing up, and you've been a praying and a praying and a praying for 5 years for it, you need to check out your mental atmosphere. Because what's happening here, that's your consciousness. That's your thinking. Now, in the sabotage concept, what's generally happened is that there's something that you already know. You already know what it is.
Yes, we do.
You already know what it is. Well, let me give you an example. You might have it on your pass. Do you have the third page, last page, Mark 11:25? Is that in your passage? Today. Sometimes I have my stuff that's not, you don't have it. If that's not in your passage? Okay, well then it's mine. You better look again, because I thought I provided it for you. Well, let me just read Mark 11:25. You don't have it there in your passage. Maybe it's just my notes. last week, Henry had something to share. I don't know if you can remember, if you want to share it now. But we were doing our creative visualization forms. We were developing it. And we were talking specifically about that, but he wanted to share something else that was out of context. You want to share it now? You shared it with me on the way home, and I thought it was good. Okay, I'll bring it back to your remembrance. And what it was is if some people don't realize about how God is answering their prayer and has already answered it, and especially in light of the fact that don't know why things are happening, especially when it seems really negative. I think you remember your doctor had passed away, or
Oh, that.
yeah. Anyhow.
Okay. I had a doctor that I had for many years, and he decided to retire. And I got this new doctor, and he said, "I'm looking at your chart. I don't see where you had a PSA." And I said, "A what?" He said, "A PSA." He said, "That's a test they give you for cancer." And so he said, "Well, I think I'm going to give you that test because you have an age now and you should have had it." And they found it. And then when he found it, he said, we found it, so I think we should have a biopsy. So they took the biopsy, and lo and behold, they found it. He says a lot of doctors give that test and the biopsy, they just check one sample. He said, "I always check 3 samples." And so he found it. And then we had to make a decision what we're going to do about it. He says, there's many different ways about it. He says, "I'm a surgeon, but because of your age, I don't think you should do that." So I took the x-ray thing, what do they call it?
CT scan.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, but anyhow, I took that, and it was just like an x-ray. I never felt anything. It was just like I went and took the x-ray. And that was 12 years ago, and I just had a test, and it was still good. But the point that I was trying to make, if my doctor had not retired, and I never would have took that test and that operation, I wouldn't be talking to you guys today.
And that's the point right there.
Yeah, right.
That's the main point.
That's the point that I was trying to make to him. But if that hadn't happened and I got that doctor,
See, that's the point that I wanted him to share so that you guys could get. When all the times in my prayer, I generally always say is that if it's to be a doctor, the right one will be there. And sometimes the ones that you have an appointment with won't be there. Or there's some reason they're changing you. You just got to realize that you got to stay in that right mental atmosphere. And that's why those things are happening. It's because of your mental atmosphere. Now, I want to get back to Mark 11:25. You see that?
Yes.
And when ye stand praying, forgive. If you, wait a minute now, you're in meditation, pray. You're in meditation, pray. You have a prayer need, pray. And it's, your rule book says, when you stand praying, forgive. Your operations manual, your principles for living says, when you stand praying, forgive if you have aught against any. And then it says that. Well, that is an operational word. That. It's a before and after. That. That is so that. That's what that is. It also says not until. That cannot be overlooked. That your Father also which is in heaven may forgive you your trespasses. Well, the same verse, that was King James. The Living Bible puts it this way. But when you are praying, first, isn't that something? Did you overlook that? First. But now you're still waiting for your prayer to be answered. Am I right? You're still waiting for the stuff to be straightened out. First one said that. Then it says, first, forgive anyone you are holding a grudge against, so that your Father in heaven will forgive you your sins too, or your trespasses, your mistakes, your errors. All right, here you go, going up the steps. Meditation, headed for that finishing room, and you know that's it. You know that the rule book, you know that the guide says, forgive, so that. This has everything to do with your mental atmosphere. Isn't that important?
Yes.
What I'm going to read to you is from Ernest Holmes here. You're going to see why that mental atmosphere is so very important. But that's not all. Let's go to Malachi, chapter 3. These are some of the principles. They're not all, but these are two basic fundamental ones. This one has to do with generosity. You're expecting to receive. What have you given?
Yes.
You want this, you want that, you want to receive this, you want to receive that. How are you trained? Where did you learn in life, for as old as we are, hands out, hands out, hands out, receiving and receiving and receiving, and haven't given, and don't give. Giving transcends, has nothing to do with money. It has to do with heart. It has to be with heart, consciousness. And if you got the consciousness of generosity, hey, you got big material stuff in your hands to release, but consciousness precedes the ability to give money and the ability to give material stuff. So if you're unable to give materially, there's a problem behind that. It has absolutely nothing to do with your current resources. What it has to do with the consciousness of generosity has to be built. That's your mental atmosphere. That's your mental atmosphere. I remember when I was a teenager. I don't know if I was 18, 19, because I arrived in California when I was probably going to my 19th birthday. But I've always been, the person that I am today, I cannot remember when I was not. I cannot remember when I was not. Generous, looking for somebody to help, looking for things to do. This particular Christmas had come, and I was not able financially to give the gifts that I wanted to give to the numbers of people that I wanted to give. I thought about it, and in a little while my car was full, because I just went through my house wrapping gifts, feeling good, going to deliver Christmas gifts. That's just been me. And all of my life, I cannot tell you a day in my life, I'm honest, I'm serious, where I remember being in need, not having enough, struggle, strain, borrowing, all that. Because I learned that from my dad, of course. So when you're going up that step in your guided meditation, I was told to stop and slow down and deal with mental atmospheres. Malachi chapter 3, that's forgiveness. Now generosity. Though you have scorned my laws from earliest time, yet you may still return to me, says the Lord Almighty. Come, and I will forgive you. We're talking about a graceful God. We're talking about a forgiving God, even though God does not turn from you, but then you're saying, well, why am I not healed? Why is it? Well, it has absolutely nothing to do with God holding any blessings from you and not loving you and not forgiving you. It has only to do with you. Don't blame it on God. Turn to the book and follow the principles. Follow the rules. The manual is there. You're reading it, but you don't want to see what it's showing you. You don't want to hear what it's saying. But I will forgive you, he says. But you say, we have never even gone away, Lord. Will a man, then the question is, God is asking the man, will a man rob God? Surely not. And yet you have robbed me. This is God talking to man. What do you mean? When did we ever rob you? Is it in bold? Let's read it together. You have robbed me of the tithes and offerings due me. And so the awesome curse of God is cursing you. For your whole nation has been robbing me. Bring all the tithes into the storehouse, so that there will be food enough in my temple. If you do, I will open up the windows of heaven for you and pour out a blessing so great you won't have room enough to take it in. Try it. Let me prove it to you. Your crops will be large, for I will guard them from insects and plagues. Your grapes won't shrivel away before they ripen, says the Lord Almighty. And all nations will call you blessed, for you will be a land sparkling with happiness. These are the promises of the Lord Almighty. Well, when you read the Ten Commandments, when you go back into the old books, it talks about tithing. Now, tithing generally simply means, what do the farmers do? The rule of the farmer's life is that once they harvest the crop, they just eat it up, use it up, sell it all, and then start all over again next year. But there's one step that's missing. The first one is that they reserve and preserve the first 10. Am I right?
Yeah.
To give, so they have something to start with to replenish the farm the next time. They reserve and save so that they can have something to work with. That's the tithe. That's the 10%. And all through the Old Testament and New Testament is teaching of all that the first fruits, what comes to you first, you give that at least 10% back. And what does that do? That replenishes your consciousness. Now, so I want you to stop and think as you're going up here to the finishing room. You got nothing. You're going with nothing. You haven't given. You haven't replenished. You haven't given back from what you got before. And yet you're going back for more. Going back for, that's called poverty consciousness. You want to get something from nothing. Not for nothing, from nothing. You want to get something from nothing, not something for nothing. You think you're getting something for nothing, but you're trying to get something from nothing. You haven't put anything in. Why are you expecting something? Now, some people say, well, I can't afford 10%. Well, the next verse is a rider. God knew you were going to be saying that. So, so here's an amendment there. Well, you'll post that. Do you understand? So I'm just saying, people, you hear me always every week, you just get tired of hearing me talking about my blessings, don't you? And I give examples all the time, over the years and presently, how God blesses me. Not just material things. I don't only talk about material stuff. You know I don't.
But it's because first I give. I'm available to be a channel to receive so that I can be where he wants me to be, to extend and give wherever he's telling me to give and do. Not just money. When I cook food, you know what I do. I cook pots. I don't cook no little thing like this for myself. Almost every weekend, at least 2 or 3 times out of the week, I'm driving around dropping off food packages. Relatives and friends or somebody that I know who needs it. If you don't believe me, talk to anybody in my family. And when I'm invited places to people's dinner, I don't walk in just to sit down and eat. I've got something in my hand. It's wine, it's food, it's whatever. What is, do you do that? Yes. Absolutely. When I go to the market, generally, I get out of my car, there's baskets all over. I take a basket and push it in, and I have a friend say, "You're robbing people of their job. You don't need to push that in." But this is a way for me to give. Do you hear what I'm saying? Yeah. See, there are different kinds. That's giving. That's not giving money. That's giving. That's giving. You find a way to give. I was driving out at Costco the other day, and I was pushing my basket to the thing there, and there was some ice cream cup that turned over, and I just picked it up and put it in the trash. Do you know what I'm saying? Yes. That's a way to give. That's community. It's just natural. There's a beggar there. Now, I don't give every time I see a beggar or give you money, but sometimes Spirit said, yes, that's one.
Yes. Exactly. Yes.
Do it. I was going through a Kentucky Chicken driveway the other day, and when I drove out, there was this young man who looks like he's about 17 or 18, homeless. And people were passing him up. When my car drove up, he came to my car just like others had come. So I have a coin purse in my thing here, and the door has some bills. So I just pull it up and just put it all in his hand. He was the one. So you see, I can just give you examples after example after example, but that's the way you're giving your 10% of your time. Tithe is not just only dollars. It's not just dollars. Be there and release. Now, you're creating a mental atmosphere. When I read this, you're going to see why you really need to do this. Is because there are about 2,900,000 million people in the world who are trying to get to you with your stuff. With your mental atmosphere. We're talking about the law of attraction. It's not attracting them. You're not drawing your good to you because your mental atmosphere is dirty. It's weak. It's murky. Nobody can find you. Stuff is knocking all at your door. Can't get in. Because your mental atmosphere is not conducive to receive. But you're praying. Let me show you something here. If you do, I will open up the windows of heaven for you and pour out a blessing so great you won't have room enough to take it in. Try it. Let me prove it to you. Your crops will be large, for I will guard them from insects and plagues. Your grapes won't shrivel away before they ripen, says the Lord. Okay. How many of you have Allstate? How many have State Farm? Or what do you have? 20th Century. All of you got something. And if you drive in a car, you know you got something. That's what he's talking about. Read it again. It sounds like insurance, right? How many of you got cousins that one thing happened after another? They're always into something's always happening. Some people take 3 steps forward and 2 steps back. They can't even get to 2 steps forward. Huh? And you're just waiting for the phone to ring to hear what's going on now. They don't have protection. Have you thought about that?
Yes.
You don't have protection. Tithing is protection. It preserves what you have. You don't lose what you got, for sure. And it's opening ways for more. But the difference in Allstate, 20th Century, Fox and all of those, whatever name it is, you pay them for insurance. Your tithing, your consciousness of generosity, you are paying for assurance. The assurance of faith. Your assurance covers you, blanket covering for all things, seen and unseen, known and unknown. When you have assurance because of what you have done,
Yes.
you walk without worry. Whatever happens, you know you got assurance. You know that you're covered. You know that you can't lose. Something may be taken, but something takes its place. Instantly, immediately. You don't look to man for his insurance. You look to God for his assurance.
Yes.
The assurance of faith.
Yes.
And why don't you have it? Because in your mind, you know you haven't done what you're supposed to do. And that sabotages. That's where sabotage is. But you haven't been taught. Now let me ask you another question. Woo. Been knowing you 1,000 years. Been knowing her 2,000. All of y'all a long time. How many times have you heard me talk about money for anything that I do?
No.
Never. Never. And nobody has felt uncomfortable in my setting thinking about that. I'm thinking about money. But I can go to my post office box and from time to time, because I'm not active, but people that I've worked with 20 and 30 years ago, I can find a check every now and then from different ones, $200, $300. Don't let them sell a house. Oh, I'm rich. $5,000, $10,000. I get those checks in my P.O. box. You know why? When they sat at my feet, I didn't preach and talk about money. You know what I did? I did what I'm doing now, teach. Teach. And when you teach, you don't have to preach. And you don't have to beg. And you don't have to work. If everybody left out here today and didn't give a dime, I gave a dollar. Do you know that I wouldn't worry about it? Because I know before I can ask Rena. She sees. She comes, she works, she comes to my office generally every Thursday morning. And we talk about this stuff, and I'm sure she sees it showing up. Not from you, necessarily. I don't depend, I keep my mind open, but I do something first. It comes back from what I have done. I'm not working magic. This is not magic. If you're trying to pray and wait, you're working on magic. Magic, I don't sell magic. I sell spiritual and spirituality and spiritual consciousness. It says right here, I'll protect all your stuff. Now for people who's this 10% hurts, you okay. You got a rider. In your contract, you got an amendment here. Got you covered. 2 Corinthians. We're talking about mental atmospheres. Everyone, 2 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 7, everyone must make up his own mind as to how much he should give. Now this is not limited to no big religious organization. This is not all about church now. We're talking about giving, generosity. Everyone must make up his mind as to how much he should give. We're not talking about a church offering. It's giving, looking for ways to give. I just got my income tax check, for example. Do you know that I wrote 3 $500 checks? This is giving. This is no tithe, because I give over and above the tithe. What's in my heart, you can't beat God giving. But you know what? I tried. I tried. Because I'm playing a game good. Playing a game, but God likes to play games. I wrote $300, $500 checks to young nieces who are graduating in June. And I know that they're going to buy cars. So I wrote it to them, this is for your car fund. Now I see Jeannie do that. I've seen Jeannie do this stuff as long as I've known her. That's not tithe. So I'm not talking about giving in the church. I'm talking about giving up your heart, having a consciousness of generosity, having a consciousness of giving, looking for ways to give. Guess what? It comes through your windows. Everyone must make up his own mind as to how much he should give. Don't force anyone to give more than he really wants to. For cheerful givers are the ones God prizes. And then the King James Version of that same verse says, every man according as he purposed in his heart, so let him give. Not grudgingly or of necessity, for God loveth a cheerful giver. You've heard me tell the story, I'll tell it again. People say, Ahman lies, well here's another one. Another one of my lies. I was in Guidance Church in administration many years ago with Dr. Dan, the minister. And my office was upstairs where the administration is. And on Sunday mornings, I was on the pulpit also. And so this particular morning, you know, Dr. Dan starts everything clockwork, you know, like, and so it was time to go. You know, we were going down and everybody marches in the church. But I had not written my tithe check. I was a tither. And I was teaching tithing. And my tithe for this particular day, not this particular month, because I was making a whole bunch of money at that time. And my tithe for that moment, from what had come in recently, should be $500. Now, I got the check out to write $500, but I got arthritis or something in my hand. It just couldn't make a zero. So it could only make 1 0, so it made 5. It was $50. I don't want to ask for a show of hands. How many finger problems we have up in the air? But I knew it was wrong. See, when you know right from wrong, your consciousness convicts you. So my consciousness convicted me, and I set my butt down, and I did a little quick prayer to myself. I said, Lord, make me a cheerful giver, because I knew this was here, because I taught it. I said, Lord, make me a cheerful giver. Then wrote that check for $500. Went on down, offering time, put the $500 in there. So the procedure is there when you get ready to leave the podium, you know, everybody stands and let the pulpit staff move out first. And so I moved out. Suddenly I see some commotion coming from over here to the end of the aisle, someone trying to reach me. And this woman puts something in my hands. Now I said, oh Lord, here we go again. Somebody's giving me their number, you know. Because a lot of that was there was so much of that going on. I was used to it. I said, oh, well, here we go again. But I put it in my pocket. I'm not going to say no to this one. So later on at home, when I opened it, it was a check for $500. A check for $500. So I'm going to ask you a question. At what point, at what moment did she decide to write that check for $500?
Wow.
So when you're on your way up to those stairs to the finishing room, and you're asking how come it's not done, there's a reason. God's not cursing you. God is not punishing you. God does not punish. It's just that you know, and your consciousness convicts you. You know who you need to forgive. You know who you need to accept forgiveness from. You know stuff that you need to let go. You know how to change your mouth. You know how to stop hearing what you need to stop hearing. Just because they're saying it don't mean you need to hear it. It's affecting your mental atmosphere. Stuff is trying to get to you, but your mental atmosphere blocks it. Okay, let's go to Jacob. Genesis chapter 28. So Jacob left Beersheba. Read all of that comes before it when you get home. But Jacob left Beersheba and journeyed toward Haran. That night when he stopped to camp at sundown, he found a rock for headrest and lay down to sleep. And dreamed that a staircase reached from earth to heaven, and he saw the angels of God going up and down upon it. I want to let you know that Jacob was in meditation. Jacob was in prayer. That's what we're teaching, meditation and guided prayer, aren't we? Okay. At the top of the stairs stood the Lord. I am Jehovah, he said, the God of Abraham and of your father Isaac. The ground you are lying on is yours. I will give it to you and your descendants. What is that saying? But it's already done. He's in meditation praying for something, and that which he's praying for, God appears to him and says, it's yours, it's already done. That's what we're teaching here, aren't we? Isn't this what we're teaching?
Yeah.
It's already yours, it's already done. But look what follows. You don't get something for nothing. He says, for you will have descendants as many as dust. They will cover the land from east to west and from north to south. And all the nations of the earth will be blessed through you and your descendants. What's more, I am with you and will protect you wherever you go and will bring you back safely to this land. I will be with you constantly until I have finished giving you all I am promising. Then Jacob woke up. We're talking about the power of sleep, aren't we? We're talking about going to sleep in prayer, right? Then Jacob woke up. He's reviewing what he has seen and what he has seen. He said, God lives here. He exclaimed, I've stumbled into this home, in his home. This is the awesome entrance to heaven. The next morning he got up very early and set his stone headrest upright as a memorial pillar and poured olive oil over it. And Jacob, here it is. And Jacob vowed a vow to God. This is what many of us need to do to help us overcome the block of tithing, overcome the block of generosity, overcome the block of poverty thinking, overcome the block of I can't release and I can't give. Make a vow with God. Go home and write a vow. A vow. What is a vow? A vow is a commitment of exchange between two parties. I will do this and you will do that. That's what God asked. God made a vow with him. Jacob vowed a vow. He said, if God will help protect me on this journey and give me food and clothes and will bring me back safely to my father, then I will choose Jehovah as my God. And this memorial pillar shall become a place for worship. And I will give you back a tenth of everything you give me. That's a vow. Now make a vow and then hold to it. Some people made a vow 50 years ago and still married. And wouldn't have been together 50 years later if they hadn't made that vow. That's why he says, and she said, no, we don't have to get married. Because marriage is a vow. It's a vow. And then they stayed together because they made a vow to each other, what each would give the other based on that vow. But many of us have broken the vows that we've made with God. Once I get this, and when the prayer says, God already knows you're not going to do it. It's your mental atmosphere. Well, let's talk about what mental atmosphere is. You have the page. Mental atmosphere, we'll take it at the end. Your mental atmosphere, right? Let's go through this quickly. Because you just came late, so you got to give me my time. Mental atmosphere, are you ready? This is what Ernest Holmes says. Each person has a mental atmosphere, which is the result of all that he has thought, said, done, and consciously or unconsciously perceived. This mental atmosphere is very real. and is that subtle influence which constitutes the power of personal attraction. For personal attraction has but little to do with looks. It goes much deeper and is almost entirely subjective. Haven't you seen this man with this woman? And you say, Lord have mercy. What does he see it? What does she see it? Based on what he looks like. And look at me, what I got. Haven't you seen that?
Yes.
You see some men with some women, you go, what? Am I right? But this says personal attraction has but little to do with looks. It goes much deeper and is almost entirely subjective. It's mental atmosphere. It's the mental atmosphere of that woman. It's the mental atmosphere of that man. Mental atmosphere. And guess what the book says? The law of life. The law of attraction. The law of attraction is what we're talking about. The law of attraction. What are you attracting? I'm attracting my good everywhere I go. Everywhere I go, I'm looking for something. Somebody's looking for me, I'm showing up. I am showing up because the law of attraction says something good is going to happen to me today. The law of attraction. He says this will explain the likes and dislikes for those with whom we come in daily contact. We meet someone only to turn away without a word. We meet some only to turn away without a word, while others we are at once drawn toward, and without any apparent reason. This is the result of their mental atmosphere or thought vibration. No matter what the lips may be saying, the inner thought outspeaks them, and the unspoken word often carries more weight than the spoken. As Emerson said, what you are speaks so loudly that I cannot hear what you say. I know some of you walk into a room and people look. Am I right?
Yes.
You walk into a room and you know you've been filmed. You will go places and people just want to sit one place, hear you, all the time. And conversely, on the other hand, oh Lord, you sit way over here. Somebody come, you start getting up. In contacting people, we are instantly attracted or repelled according to the vibrations which we feel. A person whose atmosphere is one of love and sunshine, whose nature is to be happy, who lives a clean, wholesome life in a free atmosphere, will always attract friends. Children feel mental atmospheres very keenly and are drawn to those who are inwardly right, shunning those who are inwardly wrong. Go on over there and talk to him. Go to him. Charles is back there. Go kiss him. Go get her a hug. And then there are some children just running, don't even know you. They're just trying to get a hug. Am I right? Crawling all over you. Come back here. Come back here. Do you see? Is that true? Yes, it's true. Mental atmospheres. The question is, what are you radiating? What color is your aura? What are you exuding? What's on your mind? That's what you're radiating, and that's your mental atmosphere. Is your mental atmosphere one of prosperity and health and radiance and love and light? Mine is. It has been truly said that people whom children and dogs do not like are dangerous. Animals are almost entirely subjective and feel mental atmospheres more keenly than do most people. Now, I'm not an animal lover. I'm not, I've never had a pet, but I can't go nowhere. He just rushed to me. I go to somebody's house and I got to pretend I like animals. I'm just trying to pet and run and just all over my leg. That's your mental atmosphere. Personal atmospheres vary in their intensity. There being as many varieties as there are people. For each creates his own atmosphere in mind. Truly, did the great Emerson say, if you want a friend, be one. If one wishes to have friends, he should become friendly. And if he wishes love, he should learn to love. There's no excuse for anyone being without a power of attraction. There is no excuse for anyone being without a power of attraction, since it is a mental quality and may be consciously induced through right practice. And then he says in another heading in that book, 1926 by Ernest Holmes, it is possible at times for a psychic to tell one. It is possible at times for a psychic to tell one most of the incidents that have happened.
Of his life.
Is there a typo there?
No.
Am I reading it wrong?
No.
Of the incident.
It is possible at times for a psychic to tell one of the incidents that have happened, in his life, and also to tell of his friends and many of the incidents that have happened to them. This is done by entering the subjective realm of the individual and reading the thoughts and mental pictures that are hung on the wall of his memory. When a psychic tells one something about his friends, he is entering their thought through the sympathetic vibration of the one whose thought he is reading. We are always in mental contact. We are always in mental contact with our friends on the subjective side of life. And a psychic, tuning in on these vibrations, reads the thoughts that come over the mental wireless. The reason that is important to us in prayer, I'm just read the first half of that sentence. We are always in mental contact with people. We're talking about being open to answer prayer. Stuff, things, connections, answers, direction, guidance. Our mental atmosphere can be blocking. Often, a psychic will enter a person's mentality and give him a fairly complete history of his past and of the family from which he came, going back perhaps for several generations, naming ancestors and the things that engage their attention while on earth. He is reading the records of what has already happened and is a subjective remembrance of his family. For instance, people often said to me, I saw Emerson standing behind you this morning. Of course they did not see Emerson. What they saw was a mental picture of him. The reason being that I am a student of Emerson, and each is surrounded by the forms of the people he knows and the forms of those whose thought he studies.